This
Okay, I'm going to go ahead
conference
and
will
begin
now be recorded.
Oh, good. We're recording now. I can't really hear. I don't know how to make that work. I might call in on the line too. So if you guys have voice questions, I can maybe answer that too. So just bear with me just a minute here and I'll go ahead and do that. Hi there. Leah here. So I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm one of the founding members for Yeti Robotics. And it's on the screen. I think, can you all see my screen? Good. If you can't, just make a note in the chat. But I think I'm sharing my screen. Yeah. So basically, we're going to talk about what a program or initiative we started this year with doing Girl Scout robotics. We're actually really lucky in that sense that we were approached by a troop here in Charlotte, and they wanted to do this because they knew the badges were coming and they got us involved. And we run this through the council. So basically, as my notes say here, getting started, approaching your council as a troop. You can work with individual troops. What we found it works really well is to go through the council. So what we did is about a year ago, last December, we were approached by a troop, a couple leaders from a specific troop. They wanted to do this. So they took what we proposed to council and they proposed doing this. So we would do it for one group, one age group. And then that was an experiment that we did last May that worked out really well. And then we worked with council after that to approach them during the summer when they were doing their calendar. So we got on their calendar for the fall, and we have some in the spring that will be after competition season and possibly next summer. So what I would suggest is you can talk to some troops yourself. We've actually tried working with our council for several years. I guess they just weren't ready for it. I know other councils have been doing robotics and they have teams for years now. Our area just wasn't really open to it or able to, or it just wasn't on their agenda for that time period. But now it is, especially because what happened in this past summer is Girl Scouts released, I believe it's about 16 or 17 new badges, all having to do with STEM. And there's basically 3 badges for each of the girls' levels. There's 6 levels in Girl Scouts from the kindergarten through high school. And there's badges for STEM in all of those levels that are new, as well as specifically robotics. So that's what we focused on. You can do additional ones. They have engineering ones, they have coding ones and specific, but we just focused on the robotics. That's actually in the one day that we do with them, they can earn 3 badges. So that's kind of how we got started. And I would suggest approaching council. They do the advertising for you because they put it out on their calendar. We happen to have a large council here. We got 6 or 7 different counties involved, so it's easy to get a full class. So the next thing you need is to know about the requirements, and I have an example of one here that we're actually doing today. The cadet robotics, which is cadets are middle school. And as you can see at the top, those are the 3 badges that they'll earn today. And these you'll find are what we found. They come across as very different, but basically there's 3 parts of each badge or 3 badges. They're very similar. They want you to do programming. They want you to do some designing or building. They call it different things with different levels. And then showcasing. That's really doing a presentation. So we'll spend the first part of the day doing some of that stuff. And at the end, we invite parents and leaders to come back in and watch for the last half hour. The girls do their presentation about what they did. So these, I don't know if anybody's had experience with Girl Scouts before. These badge books are actually not too challenging. I've in the past had, as a Girl Scout leader myself, it's been quite a few years since I've done it, but have been just gone bonkers because they're just so difficult to follow about what you really need to do. But these are pretty clearly laid out. The first one is programming. They tell you what you want them to learn about robots, about the parts, basic sensors. They have to use a robot with sensors, program it, write a program for that sensor. So for all of the Girl Scouts, especially the younger ones, because this is just, we're trying to do everything in one day, we don't have them build the robot. I have my students build those ahead of time. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So those are kind of the what you're going to look through when you kind of plan your lessons. You can get these books through the Girl Scouts. You can order them online. You can get a PDF. You can get the actual booklet. They're a few bucks a piece, maybe 5 or 6. What I did with working with our council, they had the PDF electronic copies, and they just gave me access to those on their Dropbox, and I downloaded those. So we have those, and you can go through. So that's pretty much the requirements for each one. We are pretty much doing a very similar program for each their level of girls. There might be a little differences, like the girls we're doing today, cadets, middle schoolers, they have to do a sensor. We've done sensors with juniors, which are a little bit younger, like 5th and 6th graders. We didn't do sensors with the daisies and brownies. They're a little bit younger. So, and they actually had to code them, which they're obviously, these are the EV3s, which we're using. So it's like Legos, and those are the kids that do Legos. So they're perfectly capable. The other ones, they have to learn about coding, but they don't actually have to do it. We have them do it anyways, because we can, and it's not that hard. Excuse me. So as I said, we went through council. I think you could do this yourself, but I think it's easiest and probably better for you, a better advantage to go through your council for advertising and so forth. So the way we've structured it is that we charge $25 per girl. We max out at 20 girls per session, so we end up making about $500. Our council will usually have about 22 girls sign up because 1 or 2, maybe 3 don't show up. That's pretty common. For whatever, they get sick or forgot or something. They do earn the 3 badges. We don't provide the badges because that's $3 a piece, so you're looking at another $9. I think I had $5 here, but I looked at them this morning. They're actually $3 a piece. So we provide a certificate, which we print out with the names on it for the girls, said they completed the badges, and they can take that back to their troop and then get their badges, or their parents can buy them the badge. The council, we have them provide us a list of girls, so we kind of get a head count. We have a list. We can do the certificates ahead of time, or I actually do it when they check in the morning, so I don't produce extra ones. So the advantages, again, of going through council is that you get paid by council too. So you're not trying to, collect a little bit here and there. And that's kind of the way the Girl Scouts are used to doing. They have their little accounts that Girl Scouts run for them for the money they've raised through selling cookies or snacks or whatever they do. So that's kind of how we've set it up. It's actually kind of $25 is on the expensive side for a Girl Scout badge, but they feel it's worth it. We've had a lot of good response from it. And they don't seem to mind that too much. And for us, it's working good. As far as what we do as a team for that money is that part of the money we use towards the students. So the students are working, get down the structure so that the FRC students can go towards their fundraising account, because we do fundraising by everybody in our team. Let me check for questions on that. So from there, but what you would, do you have any questions about, I'll kind of go by section, questions on setting up and working with council or figuring out how to do the badges? Okay. So on the what you would need to structure your class is, we basically, the reason we use 20 is because we can get 10 EV3 robots. We've borrowed them from Marie in the past. Right now we're using some from UNCC. Marie's robots are going to another group that's using them. UNCC here doesn't use them during the winter time, but they need them during the summer. So we'll have to switch off or find that, or maybe eventually we can buy our own. We've purchased tablets. So again, 10 tablets that you can load the EV3 programming software on for free. I found a pretty good deal through Best Buy. They're about 50 bucks a piece, and we put them on cases and charge everything up before the class. Again, I said 12 girls max. That's kind of a good number. I think if you were going to have like 50 girls, you'd really need a lot of help and it'd be kind of chaotic. We use the FLL type tables for practicing and coding, so they'll write their code, run their robot, and so forth. Most of us have those around. I usually have 4 or 5 students, high school students, helping different groups, because then you can have one student per couple of pair of working students. Have a couple of adults. I usually have 2 mentors, and then we takes about 5 hours. So we have a lunch break. Sometimes we have a snack break in the morning or the afternoon. And the 5 hours includes the half an hour at the end for them to do presentation. So lesson plans, this is something we've been using. I can show you the one we do for today. So I go back and forth with the requirement books, but I found it's pretty much the same thing. We've done the lowest 4 levels yet. I haven't done the high school students yet, but that's what I found. So if I look at, let me pull up. So I kind of have a spreadsheet, and I can share this with folks. I'll ask Marie how to do that. But basically, this is kind of what I use as a lesson plan as I run through the day. We kind of do an intro. We show a mess for the younger girls. Oh, this is the brownies and daisies. So this is actually for the younger girls. When they check in, sometimes when they're real little, they're kind of running around and stuff. So I put a student or 2 on with them. We have a big sheet up with a picture of a robot, and they can, use them, blindfold them, and pin the antenna on the robot. So that's kind of a fun way to keep them active while they're coming in, because not everybody gets there at the same time. So once we get started, part of the showcasing part is that they have to learn about competitions. So we know that. So I have a student video that one of my students created that's basically talks a little bit about robots, because they have to learn about them. And then we do a demo with FRC robots. And for the younger girls, they had to do biomimicry. That's one of their vocabulary. So there's always vocabulary involved. And here we talked about sensors. We didn't necessarily use them, but we talk about them. So, and then we go into what we do. I don't know if you're interested, I can show you. This is a very short video. You've seen competition videos, you've got them all over. And like on biomimicry, there's stuff on YouTube. Sometimes, depending on the group, I'll pull up videos from, Boston Dynamics or different kind of experimental robots that are done in research that are kind of cool and interesting. Specifically thinking about different sensors they might use and whatnot. I'll go ahead and play this as just a short video. Like I said, a student created to help kind of do an introduction.
Robots do jobs that are dull, dirty, and dangerous. With recent developments in coding, sensors, and materials, robotics technology has advanced more than ever. Even to the point where our robots can mimic humans and animals. Teams like Yeti are a great way to get into robotics, and it's a lot of fun. get building.
So that's just a little example. You know, like I said, I can share that, or you can have your students work on that. It's a great way for them to learn some skills in video editing and creation. And if that's if you have a student that has an interest in that. The next area we'll work on, so that's kind of one kind of their introduction, show some videos, then they get up and demo the robot. Then we might see some more videos and do some vocabulary talking. So we also have some games that we play with them. We do handouts, especially for the younger girls, a very simple word search with some of their vocabulary. Algorithm is something they always want on there, especially with the younger ladies, understanding that that's a series of instructions to do something, whether it's cooking a recipe for a cake or instructing a robot to go do something. Another game, so that's an easy way. There's software online or apps online to create your own word searches using their vocabulary. The next one we do is, this is fun with a lot of the younger groups, is the telephone game where you sit in a circle and one person says something and it goes around the circle and it comes out different. As in how important it is to be straight, give your information to your robot properly. We also do, I know that code.org, it's a little hard to describe this game we do with them using sheets of paper, in that they put it down in a matrix, 3x3 or 4x4, and one is a start square and one is a rectangle, and one is a smiley face as the end. And then one girl's the robot and the other girl standing in front has to be the programmer, and they use signals. You can also do this verbally, like take one step forward, take one step to the right, and so forth. But this is kind of a physical way for them to understand. If they just say go forward and they don't tell them go forward 1 square and they might go forward 3 squares, that they have to be very precise in their instructions. And this is just a fun thing. With the younger girls, I think you tend to have to be more active. So these little games that we do with them is fun. Then we learned that the algorithm is translating code to a bot. Then, so coding and build, like I said, it's either building or designing. So we think about, have them brainstorm design and so forth. They can sketch, paper and pencils or crayons, whatever. Then they can build something using the Legos on the robot, and then they can test and repeat and so forth. And by that time, we're pretty good. You have at the end, you have a presentation. It's basically show and tell. Again, sometimes we have the girls get together and talk and write out what they want to do. If they're a little bit older, like upper elementary, your kindergarten kids, probably that's not going to work with them. But usually everybody's excited about, them just getting up and talking. So that's kind of fun part for them to do. So that's kind of an outline that I use. I do modify it for each age level a bit. So, and that's how that works. Lesson plans. Oh yeah, check-in. That's just housekeeping. I usually get an emergency phone number. Some girls get dropped off, which I found. Sometimes it's a whole troop that comes because they're coming from an hour and a half away. So they'll just stay and they have their picnic lunch and the whole 9 yards and whatnot. So that's an easy way to do that. Again, so this is what we went through: the vocabulary, coding, design. So it's a little bit about if they're doing a design or a building, especially with a little bit older girls. So you can use something on the FLL field, like one element. You don't have time to do them all, of course, because you're just basically having a very mini session on that. Or you can have your high school students build something. It can be just, a box that they have to push a ball into or move a little cube on. Sometimes they can use even those little cubes this year that FTC is using. So those work really well. Or something else, something very basic, moving something here to there, kicking a ball, whatnot, something that they can design around. Okay, then we have, like I said, a little finale. So we have is that during presentations, the girls do that and we award them their certificate. So that's kind of pretty much in a nutshell what we do to get that done. Another thing we do, like with the older girls especially, I don't know if you can see this, but we have a little notebook that we made for them to use as a quote engineering or notebook or design notebook, because they have to do writing and design. And that's just kind of a fun way you can put your team logo on there and whatnot for them to take home. And that's all very specific. So is there anything else anybody had questions on? Or I'm going to call in now so I can hear you. Okay, yeah, so Angela was asking, will I share materials? Absolutely. So probably what I'll do is I'll create a Google file. Maybe what you can do is if you want to send me your email, I think at the beginning I have my email and phone number where you can text them. Good, thank you, Angela. And I'm happy to share those with anybody. So I can put everything, even the sample video and whatnot the students made, FRC, and anything as far as competitions. We all know there's tons of those out there, as well as yeah, the YouTube stuff from Boston Dynamics, or some of the really cool robots like the flying, bird ones, or snake climbing a tree ones, or the badge requirements are not available online. Those are proprietary to Girl Scouts, so they sell those to Girl Scouts either in the booklet or online as a PDF. So I believe if you go to Girl Scouts on their website, you can see how much they cost. Or like I was fortunate enough that, well, maybe somebody shared the PDFs online. What we have is the Girl Scouts shared them with us. So I could probably put them out there. I don't know if that's not kosher or not. But we can work on that. So I think councils have them because they've been shared that information because they work at trying to get programming together for that. Sometimes they do their own programming for their new badges and whatnot. We found this has been very successful for our team. Like I said, we can make about $500 per event. Obviously, if you've got more adults and more students, you can put put a lot of people to work and maybe have a bigger group. I think a smaller group is a little more intimate. Kids can get a little more information. Now our council has told us that we could do one of these every weekend. They have a wait list for every one of the ones we've held this fall. We took on with just doing one per month. I think one interesting way to maybe do this going down the road, if we wanted to do this next year, we have a few teams that work here together. We could rotate teams through that. Or if you're one team, you really only need 4 or 5 students. So if you had 20 students, for example, you could have 5 different students once a month, and you could have your 4 sessions per month that way, and you're not overtaxing any individual student as far as time-wise. For them to do this every Saturday, the same student probably is a little bit tough. But for our team, it works out well that they can earn a little money towards their fundraising, because we require our team members to do fundraising or just help out in general for your team. So if you were doing 4 per month, you can make $2,000 a month. And you could do that September, October, November. December would probably be pretty hard, but you could get $6,000 for the fall getting ready for build season. So that's one way to run the numbers. We're lucky here. We have a pretty big council. More rural areas probably wouldn't be able to handle that many because it just wouldn't have the population. But that's my thoughts on that. Any other questions? This is my email, my phone number. You're welcome to give me a call anytime about that. If you have questions or you want to chat about it. Anybody else want to have access? I've got Angela's email. She shared the PDFs with us. if you want to, like I said, send me your email requests or just shoot it to me on an email or text it to me. I'll put you on the list and we'll put that out in a document, in a Google Drive for everybody to share. Okay. Any other questions? I didn't find it real complicated. To me, it's not a big. It's just a kind of get your act together and get out there and be energetic and a lot of fun with the girls. We've had a lot of fun with it. So. Boy Scouts. There is a possibility of doing Boy Scouts. One of our teams here is going to be working on that. Boy Scouts work a little differently. They have their own booklets. Again, you buy them maybe for $5, and it's just one badge that they would earn. Although with the Cub Scouts, that might be a little different. I'm not sure, but I'm talking the Boy Scouts, which is 11 and older. You can do something very similar, like a one-day class camp, like a Saturday for Boy Scouts. You do have to have somebody on your team, an adult who's going to run the class, who is certified or on their list of certified camp counselors. Now, some people have told me Boy Scouts are not used to paying for badges, but that's not necessarily true. I think if they do one-on-one, merit badge counselors don't charge, but when you're doing a large class and you have 20, 25 kids, it's appropriate to charge something like $25 for the class. But yeah, so Boy Scouts would definitely be an option as well. We haven't got there yet because this kind of fell in our laps and we just kind of went with it with girls because we're always trying to get girls involved and do girls outreach for engineering, and this is just kind of fit the bill. So, I mean, yeah, 9-hour workshop for Boy Scouts. Yeah, it's a little, because I think it's a little bit longer. It's a little more in depth. So, yeah, maybe you guys could share that. Laura, how much do you guys charge for your workshop for the Boy Scouts? Okay, so Laura's saying that she has seen $35 for the 9-hour Boy Scout badge class. Yeah, we've had girls, like I said, we haven't had anybody come from Virginia, but we've had girls travel from an hour and a half away. I think this is robotics is a badge that a lot of leaders are comfortable, especially probably in the Girl Scouts, probably even Boy Scouts too. It takes a little bit more specific or specialized knowledge and equipment. Although the Girl Scouts is trying to not have to do that, but if you can provide the robots like the EV3s that we have access to here in North Carolina, then that helps. So, great. So, all right, good. That's pretty much all I have to offer for that. Like I said, again, please feel free to reach out and have questions, and I will be working with Marie to get the data, the examples of the lesson plan that we use and the videos and stuff and this outline, of course, too. So great. Thank you guys for joining me and have a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.